So saying, she once more climbed the staircase leading to her chamber, her body convulsed with chills, and her teeth rattling in her head, in spite of the intense heat of the weather. Arrived at the top of the stairs, she turned around and called out, in a warning tone, to her husband, "Gaspard, consider well what you are about to do." "I have both reflected and decided," answered he. Carconte then entered her chamber, the flooring of which creaked beneath her heavy, uncertain tread, as she proceeded toward her armchair, into which she fell as though exhausted. "Well," asked the abbé, as he returned to the apartment below, "what have you made up your mind to do?" "To tell you all I know," was the reply. "I certainly think you act wisely in doing so," said the priest. "Not because I have the least desire to learn anything you may please to conceal from me, but simply that if, through your assistance, I could distribute the legacy according to the wishes of the testator, why, so much the better, that is all." "I hope it may be so," replied Caderousse, his face flushed with cupidity. "I am all attention," said the abbé. "Stop a minute," answered Caderousse. "We might be interrupted in the most interesting part of my story, which would be a pity, and it is as well that your visit hither should be made known only to ourselves." With these words, he stealthily went to the door, which he closed, and by way of still greater precaution, bolted and barred it, as he was accustomed to do at night. During this time, the abbé had chosen his place for listening at his ease. He removed his seat into a corner of the room, where he himself would be in deep shadow, while the light would be fully thrown on the narrator. Then, with a head bent down, hands clasped, or rather clenched together, he prepared to give his whole attention to Caderousse, who seated himself on the little stool exactly opposite to him. "Remember, this is no affair of mine," said the trembling voice of Carconte, as though through the flooring of her chamber she viewed the scene that was enacting below. "Enough, enough," replied Caderousse. "Say no more about it. I will take all the consequences upon myself." And he began his story. Sometimes an author just knows right how to leave you hanging. Oh man, I can't imagine being a reader of the time when this was serialized to have to wait a week, a month for the next segment. This is the sort of thing that like a modern day TV show would really make me pull my hair out. Because, modern television has so much time between seasons now. Sometimes it's up to like 2 years. And to leave on a note like this, luckily, we just have to wait till tomorrow. That's the beauty of this show. We might be going slow as hell through this book, but we don't ever have to wait. We just have to wait 24 hours until tomorrow, and then we can figure out what is going to happen. How is the story going to be told? Now, the wife's reaction here and Caderousse's precautions really say a lot about their fear of retaliation from Danglars and Fernand. If Caderousse is believing Dante to be dead, what harm could actually befall Danglars and Fernand should they find out that Caderousse told the story to someone? I guess maybe their reputation. We don't know their situation. I'm assuming we find that out in the next chapter. But likewise with Villefort, who I don't believe Caderousse has any connection to, like, what is the harm now? If everyone thinks Dante is dead, it's been 15 years. I guess this might be some areas of research I need to do in understanding, like, what kind of scandal this could cause and what the repercussions of that could have on these characters. Like, this isn't some sort of, like, statute of limitations where they killed the king and buried his body and made a solemn oath to one another never to speak of it again. This isn't, I know what you did last summer. This is forging a note. Not even forging a note. It was an anonymous note. And it turned out to be somewhat true to imprison Dante. Okay? And Villefort, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the suffering and, horrible nature of what happened to Dante, but like, I don't quite understand the fear here. The only other thing I can really consider is that it isn't about the retaliation of Fernand and Danglars. It's more kind of a pathological cowardice on Caderousse's part. I've met a few people who, when presented with a certain truth or question, like, dance around very obvious facts or like unable, like if you ever known someone who is like incapable of apologizing, they refuse to assume responsibility and just like to a pathological degree cannot even grasp the concept of being responsible for their own actions, and then and so apologizing is not something that's even possible for them. The point being that maybe this is less about, the locking the doors and barring himself inside, is like it's more of a psychological symbolism where Caderousse is essentially inviting Dante into his own mind with cowardice and everything, and the fact that he's taking center stage in this like spotlight, as the lighting is very forefronted here, where Dante sits in the corner in the dark essentially, and Caderousse is taking center stage in the light, being spotlighted, about to go into a monologue, it seems. But maybe that's like, okay, I can't let the outside world know that I'm about to explain this, because in my head, this is a deeply held secret, and so it's more making the environment reflect Caderousse's internal struggle, how things are kind of orchestrated in his own brain. It's more symbolic that he can't look at the outside, because if he can see the outside, he can see that there are consequences to his cowardice. If he shuts off the outside world while he tells this, then it's really just a confession in his own mind, and he doesn't have to make such a big confrontation. Would he be able to do this confrontation if Dante weren't in the shadows? Well, anyway, this is leaving us on a huge cliffhanger, not only for what happened to Danglars and Fernand, but what Dante is going to do. I still don't have any concept of what Dante will do to Caderousse. I don't believe, as he's arrived here, he's had any weapons on him. So, that's not to say he doesn't. Is Caderousse's time short? Would Dante feign to do it with the wife upstairs? That's something else I haven't considered. There is a lot to unveil still in this story with Caderousse, and I guess we just pick up here tomorrow in chapter 27. But because it's the end of the chapter, that means pew, 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 I got to talk about the Patreon. Patreon.com/gruntworkpod. That is the podcast network Patreon, not only for the Countdown of Monte Cristo, this show, but all of the shows on the network, where you can contribute for as little as $1 per month. And that might not seem like much. I'm telling you, it goes so far in helping us keep the shows on the air, keeping them ad-free, keeping them sponsor-free, keeping them artist-owned. We own the show. I own the show, for better or worse. My name is on it, and I have to live with it all. I'm very proud of what we're doing here, and it is a huge value to me that I don't have someone else telling me how to do the show, what I can and can't say. You certainly can try. You can join our Discord for free and tell me what you like about the show, what you want to get from Patreon. You're the only people that I care about telling me how to shape the show. I don't want someone else. I don't want to be beholden to some ad or sponsor to control what I have to say. So your contributions for as little as $1 per month, that's 3 cents per episode, are essential to keeping that a reality. And just as a reminder, what you get for that is at the end of each chapter, the story-only audio of each chapter. So as of today, chapter 26 is available, as well as the other chapters, so that you can listen to it as an audiobook format without my commentary. And you get some other bonus episodes as they come up. We have a standing wager here that the second that I get a total of 5 new ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, I will release a short story. You can already get The Telltale Heart over at Patreon. And I will release Premature Burial by Edgar Allan Poe also on Patreon once we hit that milestone. Speaking of ratings and reviews, you can do that over at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, as I just said. It helps people find the show. It's not just for my own ego. In fact, I abhor compliments. So I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking so that we can get the show out in front of other people. But if you really want someone else to listen, then a one-to-one recommendation by sending them an episode, sending them the podcast feed, that is the way to do it, because it's effective to get someone to actually listen to an episode. So if you can send that out to someone, I would deeply appreciate it. And of course, as I've mentioned already, the Discord is free to anybody who wants to talk about the book, wants to talk about the podcast, wants to talk about anything, really. I want to hear from you, and I will respond. The link to the Discord is in today's show notes, so I hope to see you there, and I hope to see you here tomorrow as we start Chapter 27 and learn what happened to Fernand and Danglars. So until then, you know where to find me. Okie doke. Goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.